The Disrupt Education vlog can be found on YouTube. To hear it in podcast form, search Disrupt Education on any of the following podcast platforms: Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Castbox, Overcast, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Spotify, or Stitcher. Welcome to this very special edition of Disrupt Education. So glad to be in the International Mansion of Education and Innovation.
Yes.
Got that right. I'm here with
Emilia
Fermi. I want to make sure I get that right.
Thank you.
And Brando Fermi Crawford. Thank you so much for hosting.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Oh, it's a wonderful, wonderful place. This building is not built out yet. It is getting there, but we're excited to hear a little bit more. Let's hear about you two. Who are you, and tell us a little bit about your educational past. We'll start with you, Maria.
Okay, so I am from Argentina originally, and I am a professor in piano. That's my degree. So I went to preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, high school, and then went through the conservatory, and pretty much the conservatory didn't teach me anything, but took away from my creativity that I was going into. So when I'm saying that all my creativity was taken away because I had to read and all these books, and I had to get burned out by playing piano for 8 hours a day, and not what I was creating, but mainly for what I had to follow on the curriculum that they would be provided to me. So I finished because I had to finish. I had to have my degree. Now I see in retrospective that I didn't have to have my degree for what I do.
Yeah.
And I had to relearn and refine myself after so many years of just following others' curriculum and not my own creativity.
Oh, I see. So now we are here. Your son is with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Brando.
Yeah, so kind of taking off where Maria left off, my mom moved from Argentina, and she always leaves out, to me, always the most interesting part, she leaves Argentina, she comes here because the Fermi side of the family, Enrico Fermi was a Nobel Prize winning physicist, and came here and was involved in primarily people know him because of the atomic bomb. That was a big thing. His Jewish family escaped, and he wanted to do something that ended up being kind of destructive. But all that to say, my mom is a Fermi, and she heard that the Fermis were here in Chicago, and she was going to learn English. It wasn't going to be in Boston. It was going to be in Chicago. So
Excellent.
She came here, and within, I think it was like a 3-year period, she got here as a student visa. Was chosen by a school locally, music school. They sponsored her to stay here. That school had, there was a tragedy where the owner was dying of cancer. It was a non-for-profit, and as they kind of transitioned into a different role in the community, my mom wanted to do something different, wanted to combine her talents. She now was a music teacher locally, and then also she was teaching kids Spanish, and so she was like, well, I could be called the language and music school. She decided to open the school. She gets pregnant with me, and before she gets pregnant with me, she gets married here. It all happened within 3 years. It was a pretty quick thing, and then 25 years of having the language and music school in our park.
Excellent.
So then, now that's when my part starts.
Sure.
25 years. So I grew up in Oak Park, but I also had those international ties to Argentina, and I was very involved. I grew up taking lessons at my mom's school. I also was very involved in acting, and that took me into an interesting place where in high school I was just really hungry for success in acting. I think that I try to analyze where that came from. I think that I had there was a tough time in my childhood, which I think I can say that there was a custody battle, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. And that was really complex, and I wanted to make a name for myself. And then also certainly like middle school, you have there's bullying, there's being in that awkward phase.
It's a very awkward phase.
Very awkward phase. So I went into acting, and I got an agent, and I actually left high school. So that was a bit of an unconventional thing. I left with one credit left, and I thought I was going to just do this, and I did it for 3 years, and I loved it. My agent, I love her, Casey Hudson, Shirley Hamilton. Shout out to Casey, gave me my shot, and I was doing a lot of work, and I was really, I think succeeding in a conventional way. I made friends with people who, after I had left the business, had become successful. One of them is a series regular on Stranger Things, Joe Keery. Nice. We both auditioned for Stranger Things together. Yeah. So there's this I think that if I would have kept going, I would have experienced what I wanted, but I felt this need to leave. We ended up having a crisis at our school, and the crisis was a couple different crises, but financially it was not doing well. There was primarily a teacher had talked to our secretary and said, you know what, let's go off, let's take a bunch of students from the school. That's something that's really unethical, that's very widespread in like any type of service industry, law firms, schools. You can talk to anyone, they've probably experienced that. And so, it left us in this crunch where we thought, do we just, I am an actor and my mom retires, and we leave this, and we made a decision together that I would spend 1 year taking a hiatus. And during that year hiatus, I would see what education was like and see if we could rebuild the school.
Welcome to the game.
Yeah, right. Well, the interesting thing about education was I got everything I wanted from acting that I wasn't getting. I watched this great movie, My Dinner with Andre, which is kind of like this. There are two men talking the whole time. And it was a groundbreaking film. It's weird, two men talking. It was a good movie, and it made me think a lot about why I made the choices I did, and ultimately, I won't go into the detail. I could talk about that movie for a long time. It's very philosophical. I recommend it, but I did decide to become an educator for longer than 1 year. And during this year, the school we were 250%. Student enrollment than our best year. So something happened, I think, between our collaboration. I couldn't do that myself. My mom couldn't do it by herself. But in having two minds pushing for the same goal, we really did achieve a vision that we had.
A growth of 70%.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's amazing.
Right. Yes.
It's really amazing.
Yes.
So ultimately, so we had like maybe an average of 100 students. We finished with 250. And we thought, what are we going to do next? And during this time, we were helping out, and maybe you want to talk about, there was one particular student and what sacrifices we made, what we did for them, and how that led to the creation of thinking about doing a K-8 school. Because
that's a big leap, and you were saying in our tour, this is private lessons started this whole thing, right? And now we're to a point where we're at a K-8 school.
Exactly.
Tell us about that.
Okay. So we were doing these private lessons, and we did have a preschool and kindergarten immersion in Spanish going on for a couple of years. And a particular student came to us, and he was doing that pre-K program, and he was excellent. He was excelling in Spanish, excelling in music. All of a sudden, he lives in a park. The parents feel that he should be going to the public school system at the age of 5 years old when he's going to kindergarten. And like most of our students had to leave and go there. And he went to this kindergarten where they are asking him to take a test. And he passes above and beyond reading, above and beyond math, above and beyond everything. And he goes through the year. And during the year, he's forgetting the Spanish. He's not doing well in music with us because he keeps coming for private lessons.
Right.
But he is losing interest. He is losing everything. He's getting these red cards that the teacher is giving him because of the behavior he's having.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, they did the same test they did at the beginning of the year, and he is failing everything. He forgot how to read. He forgot the math. He forgot the science. He forgot. And we are here thinking, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And so
ultimately, what happens
Yes.
is that we decide to start an elementary school for him.
Yeah.
But
wow.
there are 2 other kids. Actually, there was 5 other kids in the end, but 2 other kids from his same class, or from his same school, from the same school, different class, who they come to us. They said, "Well, we heard about what you were doing with this particular child, and we're really upset about something." And they show us the report card that their child got.
Same.
And what was very interesting and sort of disturbing was that this child, she said, "This is the report card I got. I know my child's above average, but this isn't the issue.
Right.
I was at a gathering of parents, and we compared report cards. They were the same
They were
report
all the
cards.
same.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we were like, wow, well, what does that mean? What were my report cards when I grew up? I went to public school here.
But yeah.
And so we started a beta program, like a pilot program for an elementary school where our new vision was, okay, first off, all our children are going to be fluent in Spanish in a useful way, conversational. But if we're doing that for language, why don't we do that for everything else? And we say, okay, if we're going to teach math, it's going to be taught by an architect.
Yes.
And we're going to build
Yes.
things, and we're going to measure, and we're going to, they're going to be able to be proud of some achievement, not some abstract, letter grade. And then the other thing, that besides the real life application, is what if our kids, they were to learn their subjects to mastery. This concept came from Sir Ken Robinson, who I'm sure you're a fan of.
Big fan.
And so he says in his TED talk, and he's like, well, what if children are paired by interest, not by age? So that was easy. We were like, okay, that actually takes away a hurdle that we would have to have a minimum of how many kids in each grade. No. Pair the kids by this interest, by this artistic talent, by the interest in their parents' interest, frankly, in their kid being fluent in another language, because I think everyone should frankly be interested in that.
Right.
And then that no one gets B's or C's. Everyone has to learn their subject to the best of their abilities, and that's just the end of it.
Right.
And so that's what we did, and we got the attention of an academy called Fusion Academy.
Okay. Yeah.
Fusion has a very rigorous advertising campaign, so we had already known about them. And they have 4 locations in the Chicagoland area. They do one-on-one learning for high schoolers. And so we thought, okay, they're reaching out to us. They're telling us that they want something like this for elementary school. They want something like this just to exist. It doesn't need to be a subsidiary of Fusion.
Right.
They just want to be able to recommend something to all these kids that inquire and say, well, is there a Fusion for kids, for elementary school kids? And they are the ones who helped us actually end up getting with Advanced Ed, which is accreditation, which is the highest form of accreditation. We thought, okay, well, if they did it, we shouldn't be afraid of actually getting recognition.
Yes, absolutely.
And that accreditation, that pursuing that and realizing that we can be recognized led to us wanting a magic first.
So my next question is, when is 9 through 12? Sorry. Well, I mean, it's interesting that you brought up your first student that brought on a lot of this, and it is really, I mean, it's a shock to a lot of people when they take that first test, and whoever it is, the child is over wherever they should be, and then they suck the creativity. I'm sure you saw yourself in that child.
Right.
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 And how did that feel? How did that feel to you?
Well, it felt like I'm not going to let this happen again.
Yeah.
And that's why we started this. You're so right that it wasn't just that child. I saw my child in my childhood. And I said, is that going to happen to that child? And I couldn't let it happen.
Yeah.
So and looking at that, then I'm going to tell you that there are some other differences in our program. That is, we are not starting our students at 7:30 or 8 in the morning. Our programs have three start times. It can be the 7:30 that somebody drops them off and we start at that time.
If the need is there.
If the need is there. The main time is 9:30 in the morning.
A recommended time.
Right. But then we have students coming at 11:30.
Now my son behind the camera is like, yes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Because we're not all the same.
Yes.
We are night people, we're morning people, we're afternoon people. And so that is something that, again, I saw myself. I was more of an afternoon and evening person. I was going to try to appeal to that for the child's brain to be ready at their right time.
Right.
And pretty much it's 5 hours of schooling from 7:30 and 5 hours or 9:30 or 11:30.
Right.
And the other thing that we have changed is the eating and drinking at any time. So the children are going
really important.
Right.
It's all the needs that the sleeping, the eating, the walking, because our lectures and many of our classes are walking. We are singing and walking. We're not sitting on a desk.
We learned a lot. I mean, from summer camp. Like, if kids can learn and have fun for 3 months of the year, can they do it for 12 months?
Exactly.
And that was really important. We were like, well, this. Clearly, that model is sustainable financially. And there can't be a reason why. It just has to be that people they kind of just follow a leader, and they follow, okay, if public schools are doing this, well, us Catholic schools have to do it, and us Montessori schools have to do it. And so they have 30 kids in one class, they have a standard start time of the day, standard end time, a lunch in the middle, and we thought, it's this whole idea of, well, let's not just tweak it and change it, let's just revolutionize it. Let's take it completely, throw away everything that's been kind of like become this rhythm and this music that everyone listens to and follows, and really just do what we would want for us.
And that is such the Ken Robinson model, so it's beautiful.
Yes.
It is.
What are you most excited about September when this goes?
When we came to the mansion at the beginning, before buying it, and we said this is the place we want to be in, was because we felt that the students that are going to come here are going to breathe beauty, breathe and be in the spirit that we have tried to do for 25 years in a storefront. Which was people will love what we talked about and what we did, but many of them would not choose the school just because it was a storefront. And the body has to be, according to the spirit, it has to be matching, and we were not matching at all. Here we feel that this body will embody the spirit that we have. And that's the excitement is that now we can provide the body that was missing for all these years to the spirit that we.
Can I add to that a little comparison? It's kind of like when we were wandering in the desert for 25 years. We found a promised land in a sense. We do feel like it's this interesting kind of like we paid our dues. We've been there. We've struggled. We had the peak of our financial difficulty, and the school being able to sustain itself. Because at the peak of the difficulty, one of the biggest things was, well, we already had our savings, and we had our investments, and we thought, one of the things you came to the table was, you keep up with acting, and I retire with investments. And so, what was really interesting, and this is going to lead into how we even got the mansion, is we had bought some real estate, luckily right after 2008, like by accident. Like, we didn't even know what a deal we were getting, and so this was with the plan of maybe retiring someday. So we had enough of a track record where we were going to buy an apartment building. And we were just going to buy this apartment building, and that was going to be your thing, and I was going to have my acting and continue to do that. And so we had the financing for I kid you not, exactly what this place cost. And so that was 3 months before.
There's a sign.
That was unbelievable.
Exactly.
We lost the bid. I mean, we would have done it.
Right.
We bid slightly too low, and we didn't want to go higher.
Sure.
And then like we walk from the school. The storefront's in Oak Park and Lake.
Yep.
And there's like a 2-mile walk to North Avenue and back. And since I was maybe 14, we would walk together between once and 3 times from there and back and talk about our days. This replaces dinner.
Sure. Yeah.
We would talk about our day, and as I became more active at the school, we would write emails together, talk about how to deal with whatever the issue of the day was. So we're walking on Oak Park Avenue. We always walk past this place.
Yeah.
So I mean, the allegory in that, like, we were like, in a sense, like Joshua marching around the city. I mean, really, it was like we were like every time. Okay, we want someday, like maybe as a dream, to have a place like this. Now we didn't even think.
Yes. Right.
For the school.
And the fact that then it was like, okay, it's on the market. Hold up. Okay, it's not sold. And it was okay. The place is, and this is so. It's if it was to burn down tomorrow, it would cost. It's insured for $7 million. It would cost that much to rebuild it.
Right.
They listed it for an already low price of around $3 million.
Right.
They had brought the price down by the point we inquired to 1.75, and when. I think a combination of them not being able to sell and us being, we just put out basically our entire financial report of the school and said, this is how much charity work we do. And the owners are very charitable people, very good people. Yeah. And I think they recognized our mission, and so they accepted an offer that was $75,000 less than what they had even dropped it down to as like a like this is the minimum we would sell for. They went even lower, and we got it.
This is the ultimate story of the answer was right in front of you.
Right. Yeah.
And when we walked and we said, well, this should be the place. If it comes easy to us, it came so easy to us. Yeah. Everyone was happy about it. Everyone was cheering for it. The price was right. Every door was open, so if it wasn't, it had to be. Yeah. And we are involved in this forever and ever. We know we are jailing ourselves in this because this is it. And we love it. And because we love it, we're doing it. If not, then yes, I'm retired. And we are not doing it.
Tell us about what the building's going to be. Because right now, if we took everybody through here, there's a lot of construction. What does it look like inside? 9 classrooms? Is that what I read right?
Yes. Well, the article was a little off.
Okay.
There was a couple different articles, and one of them did say 9 classrooms. So you're right. And if we were going off of that, now on the place is structured in a way where there's different types of classrooms. So if you go to the 3rd floor, there are roughly 8 or 9 one-on-one rooms, and on the 2nd floor there are 3 larger classrooms where it can fit like a more conventional sized class. Right. We are not fitting a conventional sized class.
Right. I don't see desks in rows.
That's right. Yeah.
Just saying.
That's right. So and then on the 1st floor there's 3 as well. We also have this beautiful. It's 40,000 square foot outdoor. Right. Which is going to be utilized. The 3 main purposes are the preschool through 8th grade. We're going to also be hosting a venue. So we thought, okay, we're going with school, we're not going to stop there. We're going to pull maybe an Old Town School of Folk Music and host some concerts. And if concerts, maybe we can host speakers, maybe we can host lectures. And we added live debates to that list. So we are planning to, I think Oak Park's the right place to just have people of opposing sides come together and discuss in a moderated setting. And then we're going to keep up the original vision of language and music school one-on-one, adding some academic tutoring in there since we're going to be doing that for our kids. And then there's a couple specialty things. We have someone doing coding, fencing. Yeah. So there's a couple fun things outside of the realm of like a piano lesson, guitar lesson, everything that everyone expects us to do. Right.
So we are looking at, what's the opening date?
We're trying to open on September 1st.
September 1st, okay.
And
There's no guarantee.
Yeah. But you have to set a date sometime,
We're
right?
trying, yeah.
September 1st.
How can people find you, and what kind of places are there to get more information about this school?
So we have our website. It's
Yeah.
internationalmansion.com. Somewhere on the bottom of the screen.
We'll put it down
I
there
love
and
it.
put it on the podcast.
Internationalmansion.com. You can actually sign up for lessons online. That's
Okay.
a new feature. It's being developed, but I definitely, if you sign up for something online, I'll be calling you and explaining to you what you're going, what you've signed up for. Help you adjust your time slot if you need to, based on whatever I don't know how sophisticated the online sign up thing is. You can sign up for a consultation if you're interested in your child attending the school.
Yeah.
So you can sign up for it's a class followed by a free consultation with us, where we would discuss their placement, what we would be able to do in a year, what we would be able to do in 5 years, and then we leave it to the parents. We do have a really wonderful group, starting group of kids that we're excited to work with. We're pretty much already set that, okay, we know what we're going to be doing this year. I'd love to have some additional here and there, because I think that we should work with every kid in the world. I think this is just the vision. But we're very happy with the kids that are starting with us, the kids that are coming from our old school, and then just adding to that.
Excellent. I can't thank you enough. These are true disruptors of education. They actually are building it. I'm super excited to see where this goes. I don't see this going anywhere but up. I think that obviously with my movement and the things that and the people that I talk to, there's a lot of smaller pieces, but putting together them all in a wonderful space like this is truly magical.
Thank you.
Wish you both the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you.
We'll have all the information down below. True Disruptors of Education. You want to check out this school. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.